Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me again in this live section. Now, everybody have been talking about that P2B has not come out to say anything about IPOB or anything concerning Biafra or Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. But to our shocking surprise, he came out and he said something about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Because people are like, P2B, it doesn't even care about what is going on in IPOB. In fact, they went as far as saying that he's a nonchalant person when it comes to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's case or the indigenous people of Biafra. He said that he's a very nonchalant person concerning this kind of case and issue. But to our greatest surprise, he came out to say something about Biafra. Guess what? P2B was saying that there's nothing wrong in agitation, that he even supports these freedom fighters like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He also supports freedom fighters like Sunday Igboho. Like, he was so blunt with his words, and that was when people were so surprised. Many Nigerians were reacting to what he said today in Arise News. He was like, there's nothing wrong in agitation, that he's not supporting a particular tribe, that anytime a particular tribe does what he doesn't like, he's going to say it to their face. He's not doing any ethnic bias. He went as far as telling us that he supports Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's in his freedom agitation. But have you guys forgotten that this is the same P2B that many people were saying that he's not saying anything about IPOB or Biafra, that he has not come and say anything about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu ever since Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was in his continuous detention. Now all of a sudden he has come out to tell us what he thinks about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as he's fighting for the freedom of the Igbo people. That's for the freedom of Ndi Igbos, to end the marginalization of the Igbo people. Guys, I want you guys to just take a look at what he said. It's actually mind-blowing, because people have been waiting for him to talk for so long about IPOB. Now, this is what he said about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So, guys, take a look at this video, and I'll be right back.
I criticize every single act that is wrong. Whether it's in, go and follow it, whether it's in the East, West, South.
They say you're not hard enough on IPOB. That's what they say.
I'm hard on everybody. And remember what I said during the campaign until today. Any agitator I will discuss with. There's nothing wrong in agitation. Whether it's Yoruba movement, whether it's Moral movement, any movement, I'll sit down and discuss with. It is important because you dialogue people. Even in my house, people agitate. Why don't you dialogue with them? I have children who say, "Oh, I don't want to do this, daddy." And I say, "Okay, let's give me your time. Let's talk." Why are we fearing talking with people? Let's sit down and talk. And then we have exhausted reason. And if you don't, and that's it. So it's a question of, like I told you, we've been radical in our approach. And we thought that bad behavior and rascality makes you powerful. No, it actually kills the system. Good behavior has become weakness. Good character become weakness. Humility has become, everything that is good in Nigeria is classified as wrong. If I go into a place whipping people, shouting and beating people, I'm a strong person.
So the current vice president once said about another candidate that was going that, he's too nice, that he's not nice people that are needed in leadership. And that's the same thing a lot of people are also saying.
It's unfortunate.
About
not
you. And I also want to know your take on this state of emergency thing, Governor Fubara, and the fact that a lot of people are saying there's been state capture, democracy is waning, and the likes, and the courts, and other Sunday issues.
Let me tell you, Rufai, as far as I'm concerned, I maintain it. There's no democracy today in Nigeria.
So what are we practicing? So why are you running the 2027 elections if there's no democracy?
We will continue to be agitating for true democracy. Rufai, being an election in Edo, does this show any sign of being a democratic country? Capital, no. Rufai, the coffin was nailed by what happened in River State. You cannot, on any circumstances, solve a problem in a democratic setting by going against the rules. You can't even solve any problem by going against the rules. There's a process.
President Zuma went against the rules in River States?
Of course, there's a process of, there's a process. You've just, what did you do? You actually say it's undemocratic. When you go and bring somebody that is not elected, that didn't follow the process.
But a lot of people too will remind you too, you didn't hold local government election when you were in Anambra States. It's easy to point at Tinubu now, but what about you?
I'm not pointing at them. I'm just telling you, I can tell you, go and check the court process in Anambra State. I was in court for years against conducting an election because people thought if I conduct it, I would do what everybody's doing. So it took me almost 7 years before we could conduct. I governed one of the virtually the most difficult states at the time he had crisis. If there's nothing I did in Anambra State that people are proud of today, I brought stability and order in Anambra State. Before me, nobody who was governor in Anambra State had what you can call a peaceful reign. It was quarrel for 4 years. Ngige was quarrel until he left after 3 years. It was under me that things started changing because of the same way I've managed things. Started changing, and I started becoming something. I even changed it from being home for all to light of the nation. I started doing things in an organized manner. I was the first person in old and new Anambra State to be governor twice. So I started organizing things properly. So it is easy to sit there and say, oh, he did this. But the reality of it is, Rufai, come, let's visit the state. I live there. That's where I live. And when I'm there, I'm at home. It's the only place I am. There's nobody who will tell you today, this bit of visa house in Abuja, this bit of visa house in Lagos, this bit of visa house. I live in Anambra State. In Lagos, I live in a rented apartment. In Abuja, most times I stay in the hotel. So, but I have a home in Onitsha, where I go back and I'm always there. So you can come, walk the street, no security, and I invite you.
Okay, Mr. Busabi, once there's certain, we'll still keep bringing most of these criticisms and asking you questions about the state of the
no, they're going to be, it's going to be happening.
And we'll keep asking you this question. But thank you so much for your time,
thank you, Rufai, thank you for, but let me assure you, I'm committed to better Nigeria. And I have what it takes. I have the experience of all those who want to be president today. Nobody have my background. I built a business from the scratch. I've operated in the corporate world, and I've been a governor. And in all this, you can go and say, I was a social businessman. I transformed the smallest bank into a 25 billion bank then, and a private bank today. I've been a governor where I told you that the day I left, I was not owing anybody, and I've been the one who saved most money. And in all this, Anambra State has not bought me a bottle of pure water since I left office.
Don't you collect pension from this?
No pension, no gratuity, nothing.
Okay, so you don't collect pension?
I've not been, they've not given me bottle of water, pure water, not even real water, pure water, the one that is in sachet. I've not seen one.
But they gave you votes during the elections, your presidential bid.
What there's Anambra government. I didn't say Anambra State. People who voted for me are the people. I said Anambra State government have not bought me sachet of water. So nobody will say, oh, and you can go to Anambra State. If you see any piece of land allocated by the state belonging to P2B, confiscate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. It's been another very enlightening session with Governor Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State, and the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fine, thank you.
All right, an insightful conversation.
So you guys have listened to what P2B said in this particular place. He went as far as telling us that he is the right candidate for this. He has what it takes to to be the president of Nigeria. That even when he was the former governor of Anambra State, upon everything he did for Anambra people, this people never appreciated him when he left office. That even a sachet of water they didn't give him. After everything he has done for Anambra people, we've been hearing rumors that P2B didn't do well when he was Anambra State governor, but you guys can just heard what he said now. He went on further telling us that he's in support of these freedom agitators like Nnamdi Kanu, that he's in support of them, that everybody has right to agitate. So he said he's not against IPOB, he's not against Biafra, he's not even against the Yoruba nation, because people have always been wanting him to come and talk, for a very long time concerning the IPOB of a thing, because people are saying that he has not come out to say anything about IPOB for a very long time. So you can see that he has come out to tell the whole world now that he's not against Biafra or IPOB, but everybody has the right to agitate, that there's nothing wrong in agitation. So guys, I want us to actually listen to what the people have to say about, IPOB have come out to slam federal government, saying that Nnamdi Kanu must be released. They were saying that it's time to release Nnamdi Kanu, and they said that enough is enough, that they've had it to their neck, and federal government cannot be keeping Onyindu Nnamdi Kanu in continuous detention till now. So I want you guys to actually listen to what is going on, what people are saying about it, the way IPOB is angry about the continuous detention of their brother Nnamdi Kanu. So guys, take a look at this and I'll be right back.
Wow, Joe Gowan's comment. You see, if he says it's a difficult war that they had to prosecute.
Back to the People's Voice, we are discussing the latest developments surrounding the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, and their leader, Nnamdi Kanu. Comrade Ima Powerful, who is IPOB's publicity secretary, has reiterated that Kanu has no case to answer despite the ongoing prosecution. Powerful argued that the continued prosecution of Kanu on charges of treasonable felony and terrorism is a gross violation of his fundamental rights. He emphasized that the federal government, through the Federal High Court, had previously ruled the IPOB is a lawful organization and that the fabrication of terrorism charges is a desperate attempt to silence the Biafran struggle. Even though there's been a lot of evidence that have been tendered in the case recently, he still maintained his claims. The IPOB spokesperson highlighted that the abuse of the judicial process in Kanu's case, particularly in the use of civil procedure to overturn a valid judgment in a criminal trial. He said this has exposed Nigeria's judiciary as a tool of oppression rather than a bastion of justice. Speaking about justice, he said that they are not demanding for mercy. Powerful stressed that IPOB is not begging for mercy but demanding justice for Kanu and the Biafran people. He emphasized that Kanu's detention is an attack on justice, truth, and the rule of law, and that the Nigerian state's actions risk destroying its global reputation. Despite the challenges, Powerful expressed confidence in Kanu's unwavering resolve and devotion to the Biafran cause. He warned that those encouraging the Tinubu regime to persist in these paths do not wish Nigeria well and underestimate the unyielding spirit of Nnamdi Kanu. Well, interesting times are here. Joining me now to discuss IPOB's recent statement and the implications for Nigerian politics and the judiciary is VOP in-house senior analyst, Mr. Dele Fanimo. Good afternoon, Mr. Dele.
Good evening. How are you today?
All right, I hope you enjoyed the holidays, though, even though no holiday in the media space.
Of course.
But you had some free meat.
I tried.
I think the key word is the free meat there. But let's talk about the IPOB's claim on Gowon and the Nigerian state. As a student of history, How do you respond to the assertion that General Yakubu Gowon's comments on the Biafra war are a provocative, insensitive, and shameless attempt to whitewash the atrocities of the Biafran genocide?
Yeah, my takeoff point is that that war was needless, ab initio. And I'll tell you why it's needless. You see, something precipitated agitation. The 1966 coup was the seed of agitation, where the northern elements, particularly in the political space, accused the southeasterners that were at the top echelon of the military of masterminding that coup. But one thing is clear, in the military, no one particular section of the country will plan a coup without the input of other sections. It hardly succeeds.
Okay.
That's why the coup of Gideon Oka, the coup of this man that killed Murtala Mohammed, Dimka, you would notice that those two coups were primarily the elements in those coups were primarily from the present-day North Central, Benue, Plateau, not the core north, like the Northwest and Northeast. So, and coups are supposed to be swift. The moment you drag to a point that those who shouldn't know gets to know about it, their coup has failed. And the consequence of a failed coup is clear. It's death. So, now, when those coup and counter-coup came, the northern elements in the military started this idea of subjugating the southern elements, having taken power. Gowon was a lieutenant colonel when he was called to be the head of state, while there were brigadier generals. Then they were calling them brigadiers in the military. But they had to take a northerner in person of General Yakubu Gowon as the head of state. Obviously, the likes of Ojukwu, the likes of Ademulegun, Banjo, those people were in the military. And they felt that if this thing should continue, they will not have a place in a supposedly united entity called Nigeria. And so, agitation started, and Gowon led the federal side, Ojukwu led his own side, and other elements from other sections of the country were there in Aburi. Aburi in Ghana was the venue where they had meetings. And there were terms of agreement at that meeting, which should have given autonomy to the Biafra Republic. And of course, there was a push for the southwestern states to also have their own autonomy. And those terms were agreed on. But as soon as Gowon got back to Nigeria, certain elements, both within the military and the civil populace, felt that there was no way they were going to agree to a section of the country staying away from the Union. And the elements that were there, started by Ojukwu, was already on the side of, yes, we are there. And suddenly somebody says, no, it won't work. They're not going to allow it. And trust me, Ojukwu was still a very young man at that time. And he felt, look.
So my people, you guys have listened to what this man have to say in this interview about the Biafra and IPOB. Now, many people have, like I told you guys, that many people are already saying that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu needs to be released, especially IPOB. They have been lamenting about Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, saying that he needs to be released. He has stayed in continuous detention for so long. Now, I want to actually bring up this issue, concerning P2B. Many people have been talking about P2B and the way, because P2B have already told us that he wants to be the president of Nigeria. Not only that, he has everything, he has the capability, that he has been the governor of Anambra State for 2 times now, so he has the capability and everything to rule Nigeria. Now, many people started bringing in ethnic bias into this. Some people were saying that he should not rule as president. That if he comes as president, he's going to declare Biafra. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. But now they should not forget that. I don't know what I would say that many Nigerians now, like, what they do is actually they have fear of Ndibos. Like, to be honest, they have fears of Ndibos, and it's actually spoiling a lot in Nigeria. The power cannot just be given to a particular tribe over years and over years. You need to also try other things. They need to also try other tribe. If we keep on saying, okay, we don't want an Igbo person, we don't want an Igbo person, Igbo person is going to divide this country, and Igbo person is going to put beer, you find out that we Nigerians are not going to go anywhere. So you see, everything Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is saying is nothing but the truth about what is going on in Nigeria. Because the way the Igbos are always highlighted in everything concerning Nigeria is not funny at all. Like, people don't even want an Igbo man to rule Nigeria. They only want the power to be given to a particular tribe over years. And this particular tribe, we've actually seen their experience, we've actually seen their handwork in governing us. They have not is nothing to write home about. So you see, when I tell you guys that it is the fear of Indigbos that is spoiling a lot in Nigeria. It is really spoiling a lot. Just like when Ojus Okalo was saying that that any coalition against Tinubu is not going to work. So what he's trying to tell us is that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is still going to come for 2027. Like, sometimes you just be wondering, even the people you call your brothers are even against you. The people you say, okay, they're Igbo people like us, they're our brothers, are even against you. So you see what we're talking about, ethnic bias. Ethnic bias is what is disturbing Nigeria. Just like Peter B said that he has everything to rule Nigeria. But some people are saying that he doesn't deserve it, that Peter B, if he comes to Nigeria, he's going to scatter everywhere, he's going to make Biafra to come to pass. He's going to declare Biafra. But they have forgotten that we can't keep giving power to a particular tribe over the years. When we've already seen the experience of them, when we've already seen how they were able to manage being the president for over the years, and there is nothing to write home about in it. And now people are still saying that an Igbo man does not have the right to rule. It's so shameful that this kind of comment is coming from some people. And this is actually what P2B said. Just listen to what P2B said about him being because he was asked. He was asked the reason why he wants to, and he told them that I have the capability to do it. So guys, take a look at this video and I'll be right back.
Criticize every single act that is wrong. Whether it's go and follow it. Whether it's in the east, west, south.
They say you're not hard enough on IPOB. That's what they say.
I'm hard on everybody. And remember what I said during the campaign until today. Any agitator I will discuss with. There's nothing wrong in agitation. Whether it's Yoruba movement, whether it's moral movement, any movement, I'll sit down and discuss it. It is important because you dialogue people. Even in my house, people agitate. Why don't you dialogue with them? I have children who say, "Oh, I don't want to do this, Daddy." And I say, "Okay, let's give me your time. Let's talk." Why are we fearing talking with people? Let's sit down and talk. And then we have exhausted the reason. And if you don't, and that's it. So it's a question of, like I told you, we've been rascally in our approach. And we thought that bad behavior and rascality makes you powerful. No, it actually kills the system. Good behavior has become weakness. Good character become weakness. Humility has become, everything that is good in Nigeria is considered as wrong. If I go into a place whipping people, shouting and beating people, I'm a strong person.
So the current vice president once said about another candidate that was going that, he's too nice, that he's not nice people that are needed in leadership. And that's the same thing a lot of people are also saying.
It's unfortunate.
About
not
you. And I also want to know your take on this state of emergency thing, Governor Fubara, and the fact that a lot of people are saying there's been state capture, democracy is waning, and the likes, and the courts and other some issues.
Let me tell you, Rufai, as far as I'm concerned, I maintain it. There's no democracy today in Nigeria.
So what are we So why are you running the 2027 elections if there's no democracy?
We will continue to be agitating for true democracy. Rufai, being an election in Edo, does this show any sign of being a democratic country? Capital, no. Rufai, the coffin was nailed by what happened in River State. You cannot, on any circumstances, solve a problem in a democratic setting by going against the rules. You can't even solve any problem by going against the rules. There's a process.
President Zuma went against the rules in River States?
Of course, there's a process there's a process. What did you do? You actually say it's undemocratic. When you go and bring somebody that is not elected, that doesn't follow, there was a process.
But a lot of people too will remind you didn't hold local government election when you were in Anambra States. It's easy to point at Tinubu now, but what about you?
I'm not pointing at them. I'm just telling you, I can tell you, go and check the court process in Anambra State. I was in court for years against conducting an election because people thought if I conduct it, I would do what everybody's doing. So it took me almost 7 years before we could conduct. I governed one of virtually the most difficult states at the time he had crisis. If there's nothing I did in Anambra State that people are proud of today, I brought stability and order in Anambra State. Before me, nobody who was governor in Anambra State had what you can call a peaceful reign. It was quarrel for 4 years. Ngige was quarrel until he left after 3 years. It was under me that things started changing. Because of the same way I've managed things, started changing, and I started becoming something. I even changed it from being home for all to light of the nation. I started doing things in an organized manner. Rufai, I was the first person in old and new Anambra State to be governor twice. So I started organizing things properly. So it is easy to sit there and say, oh, he did this. But the reality of it is, Rufai, come, let's visit the state. I live there. That's where I live. And when I'm there, I'm at home. It's the only place I am. There's nobody who will tell you today, this P2B's house in Abuja, this P2B's house in Lagos, this P2B's house. I live in Anambra State. In Lagos, I live in a rented apartment. In Abuja, most times I stay in the hotel. So, but I have a home in Onitsha, where I go back and I'm always there. So you can come walk the street, no security, and I invite you.
Okay, Mr. Peter, one thing is certain, we'll still keep bringing most of these criticisms and asking you questions about the state of
Oh, no,
Onisha.
they're going to be, it's going to happen.
And we'll keep asking you this question. But thank you so much for your time,
Thank you, Rufai, thank you for, but let me assure you, I'm committed to better Nigeria. And I have what it takes. I have the experience of all those who want to be president today. Nobody have my background. I built a business from the scratch. I've operated in the corporate world, and I've been a governor. And in all this, you can go and say, I was a social businessman. I transformed the smallest bank into a 25 billion bank then, and a private bank today. I've been a governor where I told you that the day I left, I was not owing anybody, and I've been the one who saved most money. And in all this, Anambra State has not bought me a bottle of pure water since I left office.
Don't you collect pension from this?
No pension, no gratuity, nothing.
Okay, so you don't collect pension?
I've not been, I said they've not given me bottle of water, pure water, not even real water, pure water, the one that is in sachet. I've not seen one.
But they gave you votes during the elections, your presidential bid.
What there's Anambra government. I didn't say Anambra State. People who voted for me are the people. I said Anambra State government have not bought me a sachet of water. So nobody will say, oh, and you can go to Anambra State. If you see any piece of land allocated by the state belonging to P2B, confiscate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. It's been another very enlightening session with Governor Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State and the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Fine, thank you.
All right, an insightful conversation there. Rufai Oseni, very great job on that. I think you touched a lot of the right points. Where do I begin? I don't think you can start by critiquing your own work. Dr. Abati, your takeaways from that.
The first major takeaway for me is Mr. Peter Obi's simplicity, his humility. Now, he's saying that, look, he has just one house in Onitsha. In Lagos, he has a flat. He stays in hotels in Abuja whenever he's there. Look, that the same cannot be said for many of these former governors. And he also pointed out that since he left office as governor in 2014, no succeeding state government has even bought him a bottle of water. Well, if you compare that, I don't think he was saying that in the context of expectation. It was the subtext for me is the fact that many of these former governors, they collect all kinds of privileges from the states. They will take a house in their states, they will get a house in Abuja, their medicals and that of their families will be paid for by the state government. They will go on holiday at state expense. They just turn themselves into government children. Whereas the honor of service should be more important.
So many people, you guys have listened to what P2B said, even the fact he was saying that he has everything possible to rule Nigeria, that he has ruled Anambra State for 2 years now. So this is the two time now he has been the governor of Anambra State. So he knows what it means to be a leader. And still many people are still saying that P2B doesn't know what it means to be a leader, that he's too small for Tinubu. That's what many people are saying. But I think once in a while we should also give leadership to Igbos. Let's see how they are going to actually rule. That is my own humble opinion. So this is what some people have to say concerning IPOB as well as Biafra. Many people have been lamenting, especially the indigenous people of Biafra, they have been lamenting the fact that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has not been released. Yes, they have been lamenting the fact that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has not been released, and people are asking that they need to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So guys, take a look at what these people have to say concerning it, and I'll be right
While
back.
Joe wants
You see, if he says it's a difficult war that they had to prosecute, for me, it's neither here nor there. We have seen countries break in history, even in recent times. Sudan and Southern Sudan broke up and they're still there. Eritrea broke up from Ethiopia and they're still there. In Great Britain, Ireland broke up and they're still there. Semi-autonomy is given to Scotland and Wales. They are still there. So, if these people are resolute and they feel they can stand on their own, we would have just resolved it amicably and let Biafra stand. Perhaps today we will not be talking about all these problems we have in Nigeria today, because at the end of the day, everybody will grow at its own pace. And I can tell you for free that if that thing had happened at that time, perhaps the Southern Protectorate would have come together, using leverage on the weaknesses and strengths, using the SWOT analysis to come as a confederacy with a very weak center, and all the regions would have developed at its own pace. Maybe by now, the southeastern part of this country would have emerged as Singapore.
Okay, let's move away from that story because of time. Let's talk about the stance of the IPOB, because they are not going to stop talking anytime soon. Do you think the Nigerian government has been complicit in IPOB's claim of judicial bias and oppression, particularly in the case of Nnamdi Kanu's detention and prosecution?
You see, for me, Nnamdi Kanu's case is to some extent sub judice now, because it's in the open court and the trial has been ongoing. And the way we are trained in journalism is anything that is in the open court, you are not supposed to comment directly on it. But indirectly, we are looking at political issues. The truth about it is, I would suggest, it's a speedy trial now. I would suggest that we wait until the outcome and the resolution of this matter through the law, so that we can put... I like that statement made by the spokesperson. Powerful. That they are not seeking mercy, they are seeking justice. And that's the route this case is taking. Whatever judgment that is passed becomes a permanent resolution.
But the same Powerful has come to say that Nnamdi Kanu does not have a case to answer. He said that there's no case to answer as far as they are concerned. And in your words, yes, you agree with what he has said, that they are not seeking mercy. It's about justice, which should be the way to go. But how about the implication of this continued detention on Nigeria's national unity and stability? As a
matter of fact, I can tell you that the way the accelerated trial is going on, in a matter of maybe 1 month or 2 months, they should have concluded this case and passed judgment.
Ideally. But do you see that happening?
I'm seeing it, because they go to court almost every day now.
With a lot of evidences and counter evidences, with all of that coming.
In fact, it's like anytime from now, if they resume, maybe tomorrow, in the next 1 week, the prosecution will close his case. And once it closes his case, the defense would come up, and in no time, the evidence against Kanu had been put forward. It is for the defense counsels to do what is right by cross-examining those people, and which they have started. So they will also bring up their own defense, and in no time, I am seeing this case being closed by next month.
Okay, let's talk about the government's response and international community. Emma Powerful has made a strong allegation saying that for the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whoever it is that is encouraging the president to shy away from this case or not, have whatever authority he can to put on the case to ensure there's hastened prosecution, trial and judgment at the end of the day. Those are allegations according to some analysts. But what step do you think that the Nigerian government could take to address IPOB's demands and concerns, particularly regarding Nnamdi Kanu's release and the treatment of the Igbo people? Because it's sort of dicey at a time like this, because there are a larger population who will still come out to tell you that they are not part of the people seeking for a Biafra nation. So what can the government do?
You see, initially, my position on this issue is for us to find political solution to it. You know, the critical stakeholders in the southeast part of the country coming to see how they can talk government into ensuring that this thing is settled amicably and can be released so that he can reunite with his family and, and continue with his life. But over time, it took a lot of effort from few genuine Southeasterners who are not playing politics with the detention of Kanu. Perhaps if the major stakeholders in the Southeast had been united in the real sense of it to ensure that they come to whoever has the power to use political solution to resolve this matter, maybe Kanu would have even probably returned to Britain, where he's a citizen. But we have seen it, and governors in the Southeast have even said it on different occasions, that politicians are the reasons why Kanu is still in detention.
But if you say that people are playing politics with it, does that not further back the position of those that say that the call for a Biafra nation is not a general call from the Igbo descendants?
Now, you see, if Satan, as depicted in the Bible, comes to Nigeria today and proclaims himself Satan, he will have fellowship. I hope you know that. So the same way, not everybody in Biafra or who is of Biafra extraction will believe in this cause. Just like when OPC started their wahala, Southwesterners didn't believe in this cause. As a matter of fact, as I sit here, when they went to say they wanted to overthrow government, when they went to Agodi about 2 years ago on a Saturday, when the house was not sitting, when the governor was not sitting, I looked at them as crazy, mad people. And so I was on television in another program, and I said those guys should not be let off the hook, that they should be arrested and probably charged for treason, because it doesn't really make any sense. Violence is not the only way you can get what you want. There's a way you pile pressure in such a way that people will know that, look, enough is enough. We need to listen to these people. So, for me, you are not going to have 100% Igbo extraction believing in that cause. But I can tell you, if they succeed tomorrow, you'll be shocked that those who didn't believe in it will be the one to say, yes, on Biafra we stand.
Wow.
So, for me, two things. Nnamdi Kanu, his life should not be placed on the altar of politics, selfish interest, enlightened selfish interest. They should know that blood runs in the veins of this young man, and that his wife is suffering, his children are suffering, they have emotional imbalance. The trauma may live with them for a long while.
Which will continue to threaten the unity of the nation.
And it will also continue to threaten, because these people, they know Nnamdi Kanu is no longer Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu is the icon, symbol of the Biafra nation. And so anything done to him affects the psychology of
every person that identifies with that.
You understand? So the earlier this case is dispensed with, the better for Nigeria to have peace. But that does not mean that the release of Kanu will automatically stop agitation. Because
So, my people, you guys have listened to what this young man said. To be honest, it's also blood that runs in Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's vein. They need to release him because his family is also suffering. Just like I told you guys, even the presiding judge, that's Omotosho, even came to court and was saying that they need to do fast and close this case because this man has not seen his family for a very long time now. And they should also understand that this man has a wife. He also has children. So whatever that they are trying to do, they should do it for him. Kenneth Okonkwo have said that they should release him conditionally or unconditionally. They should make sure that they release him. Many Northerners have come out to say that they can also release Mazen Nnamdi Kanu through setting it out of court through a peaceful dialogue. And also, the release of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu does not also mean that agitators, people who also want freedom, will not still be agitating. They will keep on agitating still. But they are only saying that this man has been in continuous detention for so long, and now the way they are doing this thing, now it's just as if Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is now a political prisoner because of the way they have been keeping him in continuous detention. And the worst part is that they already know that, okay, this man is a very stubborn person. He's not only agitating for his family, he's agitating for the whole Nigeria. Imagine a man who has said he's going to So, guys, sorry for the network issue. So, this is actually what many people are talking about because everyone have been saying that they support Biafra, that nobody is against Biafra. Now, I keep asking myself, if they say that they are not against Biafra, why are some people saying that an Igbo person like P2B cannot rule Nigeria? Which I feel that some people still have this idea of ethnic bias in them. And that is what is stopping Nigeria. That is what is drawing Nigeria back. And if we don't start making peace now, is going to be the end of Nigerians. Anyway, guys, that's all we have for today. Let me know your thought below. And also, if you know you're new to this channel, please don't forget to click the subscribe button, like and share. Also, turn on the notification button to be getting all the latest news in this channel. So, guys, thanks for watching and see you guys in my next live section.